So let's start with the simplest notes, and we'll get more complex from there. First thing is just a general notes text block somewhere on the page to say some general things that are important about the drawing and how to install it. You could use the text tool here for that, which some of you have already explored a little bit in the last project. But the callout tool has some useful features. I'm going to click that. And the first thing to know about the callout tool is the reason it's called the callout tool is you can call out information about a certain object in the drawing or a place in the drawing. So my first click, if I'm in the towards text mode that I'm pointing at right now, as opposed to the towards target mode. In towards text mode, my first click is where the point of my arrow goes, and my second click, I'll try that again. So if I want to say something about second electric, click there. First click is where the arrow goes. Second click, and this is funny, this is something that's embedded in our template file we stole from Brooklyn College. Ignore that. I have in my clipboard some text from the Weber Theater rep plot that I'm just going to paste in and say OK. So this is what the callout tool does for you. It gives you a little arrow pointing at the thing you are talking about. In our case, we're not using it for that purpose, although if you have a reason to, go ahead. But in this case, I'm just using it this way. I'm using the callout tool because I want to have a little border around it to draw attention to it, and the callout tool just makes that easy. So over in Object Info palette, I can look for the setting that gives me a bubble, a box, or I like the round rectangle. That's what I usually go with. And I can do all sorts of stuff to tweak, like the radius of the round corners, stuff like that. Play with it if you want. And then I want to turn off the arrow. I just don't want that. So that's the leader line here. So I can say leader type none. And now it's just this nice, I don't know why that's there. Now it's this nice text box, and I can resize it just by dragging those handles. And maybe I want to make the text bigger. Something like that. Oh, I don't know. Sure. Maybe a little bigger still. I'm just going to go to, I don't like that font. So you get font options here. These are predetermined styles, or you can just select your text box and go to text menu. And typically something without a serif, so Arial, if you're on a PC anyway, is probably the thing you're going to use. And then I can pick a size that's bigger. You want your general notes text to be pretty big so that it's a really visually prominent thing that everybody's going to notice so they don't miss anything important that you needed to tell them. I'm going to resize it a little more. There we go. So this can go anywhere on your page that makes sense given the rest of what's going on in the drawing. So maybe in my case I'll put it here. Or even centered on the center line. It's okay for me to block the center line there. I'm going to give it a fill if I want to do that. So I'll go to Attributes and give it a solid fill. And now the center line isn't obstructing it. That looks nice. I'll try that. So look at the content here. I'm going to edit it some because not all of this is true. I just copied it from the Weber Theater plot. If you have booms in your plot, it's typical to only draw one side of them and just say they are symmetrical. I don't have booms in my plot, so I'm going to delete that. This is also very typical. Electricians assign circuits and addresses, so the designer doesn't worry about that. They just leave it up to the people installing to decide where to plug things in and how to set the DMX addresses on LED and moving light fixtures. It's usually actually easiest. We're not, as lighting designers, just taking the easy way out. We're making it actually easier for our electricians by giving them that freedom. So that typically goes there. And then I usually put in some notes about what I'd like to have available at the focus call. And that's typically things to control spill. So like barn doors, top hats, color extenders, black wrap, and then a bunch of extra diffusion is always useful because we always find something needs diffusion that we didn't specify already in the light plot. And there might be more things that are specific to your plot that you'd want to put in here. Anything that pertains to the entire drawing or a large portion of it that's important for the electricians to know should go here. That's good enough for me. Okay, there. So that's my general notes block. Then I also need to say something about how the front of house positions, the coves, are not in scale in terms of their distance from the stage, distance from the plaster line, because we did that viewport thing to move them in and squish them closer, just for printing purposes. So here's how I could do that. I could go get the callout tool and do that thing again, or I can just duplicate, Control or Command D, duplicate this one, move it over, and just edit the text in it. Quick and easy. So in this case, the standard note, this is a thing that every lighting designer does. So the standard note is front of house, or cove positions, since that's what they're called here. Cove positions, or keep it simple. Cove distance from plaster, not to scale. Coves plural. There. And do I want it to be on one line or two? I'll just play with it till it looks kind of nice. I'll make it on one line. I'm gonna make it bigger like this. No, I'm not. There we go. Always go to the object info palette if you're having trouble with your mouse. Okay, get it centered, and then I want it to just be kind of placed prominently near those cove positions so that nobody's gonna miss it. Kind of between the coves and the plaster line is where it usually goes. There it is. Cove distance from plaster, not to scale. Great.